Welcome to Box Office Maniacs. And what review are we doing of this?
We're reviewing the new Scream Factory Blu-ray of Sleepaway Camp.
Just like Night of the Demons, you've never seen Sleepaway Camp, have you?
No, I have not. And actually, I think this was a little more obscure for me than Night of the Demons. At least with Night of the Demons, I'd seen pictures and read about it and heard about it. But Sleepaway Camp, I knew almost absolutely nothing about.
Yeah, I saw this when I was a teenager, I guess back in the 80s when it came out. And that was the only time I ever saw it. I saw it one time, and I still remembered how this movie ended back even all those years ago. And that's the only thing I remember is the last shot of this film.
But really, the biggest thing I remember about this, Dave, was I remember seeing the poster of it, which is the slipcover on the inside of the disc, right here, with the tennis shoe and the knife, and Dear Mom and Dad letter up at the top. I remember seeing this on the VHS cover in the local video stores. And I'd always picked it up and went, huh, Sleepaway Camp. That must be like Friday the 13th.
This movie really went under the radar.
Cheesy.
It came out right around, I guess, Friday the 13th.
Corny.
They were trying to capitalize on the whole going out and sleeping and getting killed in camps and, you know.
Horribly acted.
And I loved every second of it. Every second of this movie, I loved. I mean, it was, yeah. It was so bad. It's one of those movies that are, it's like, I couldn't help but love this movie.
I was going to say, it's like a guilty pleasure.
Hey, baby.
No, I loved it. I think it's actually had a pretty freaking good story to it. I mean, yeah, it was cheesy and everything, but it was almost Alfred Hitchcock-ish-like. I mean, it's very bizarre, and like I told you, I love weird, bizarre movies, and this is up here with weird and bizarre films. I mean, it's way up on top.
It's something that you would almost expect to see on, like, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, but it's great.
I wouldn't go that far, Dave.
I would take this movie in a second. If somebody said, hey, you got any movies for me to watch? I would take this movie, the first movie I would take over to somebody's house to let them watch.
It's definitely one of those movies to put on and sit down and you can make fun of it and you can have a good time making fun of this film. It's so bad, though. It's so badly acted and so badly done.
The stuff they were doing in this film was so far beyond anything anyone was doing in the 80s. I mean, anything. They had like these, starts out in the first shot is these two little kids and they're on a boat and with their dad, who actually is gay, and he has another dad standing over there on the shore wanting to come in. I mean, what movie ever did that in the 80s? Especially a horror movie. I mean, come on.
You know, you have the two teenagers in the boat, and they're arguing over who's going to drive, and then the one teenager starts driving, and he's like, turn the wheel!
That's what I'm talking about. That's why this movie is great, Vince. That's why it's great.
They run over the guy. All they show is his body just float. They show his partner up on the shore, and all. What does he say, Dave?
John. It's been a long time since I had this much fun watching a movie. I mean, this movie was so fun to watch, and there wasn't any point in this film that I was not either hysterically laughing at what was going on or just shocked beyond recognition of what's happening. I mean, it's like it was one or the other.
This is the whole time I was watching it, I kept thinking, what is this? Is it supposed to be a dark comedy, or is it supposed to be a horror film?
And there's so much weirdness. Like, you're talking about being weird. The whole reason I was starting with the weed and stuff in my mouth was there's this guy, and he's the cook in the kitchen, and the kids are getting off the bus, and he says something like, "Look at those chickadees," or "Look at those bald chickens." So he says something like that, and he's sucking on his weed, and the whole kitchen staff's behind him, and what do? They start laughing. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. And I'm like, huh?
And the moment you see these people, this whole kitchen staff standing there, you could tell that these are a bunch of child molesters.
And they're all fine with it. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's funny, man. That's a good one."
Yeah, and the kids are just running past him. Oh, hi!
And there's like nobody in the camp realizes this.
It's so bad, it's funny.
See, that's what I'm talking about. This movie is hilariously bad. I mean, I never had this much fun watching a movie.
You don't know how to take it. You don't know, like I said, you don't know to take it as a serious comedy or a serious horror film or a serious dark humor or what it is, because it's just out there.
Yeah, but that's the charm of this film, Vince. Besides just that, there's other weird things like the main kid in this movie keeps changing hats. He has like trucker hats on through half the movie, and then all of a sudden he has like a cowboy hat on.
You know, yeah, he keeps changing hats, and it's because the director keeps wanting to wear different things.
Yeah, so he comes in with this big, huge cowboy hat on, and for no reason. It doesn't even fit his head. Then
there's a cop in the movie that while they were filming the movie, I guess the first scenes that they filmed him in, he had a mustache. He had a whole mustache. But then he went away and he had some other movie to do, so he had to shave the mustache. So when they brought him back to film the rest of his scenes, they couldn't wait for him to grow another mustache, so they used tape.
I was laughing through the entire film. It was so fun. I mean, I had a freaking blast watching this.
Another favorite line of mine was that when the child molester cook is in there cooking on that great big huge long tall pot.
That pot was enough to feed probably 6 million people.
Something happens to him with the pot, and the pot falls on him and he gets burnt. And he's sitting there screaming in pain. You know, and actually, I will say this: the burn effect that they did on him was actually not that bad. But he's laying there screaming, you know, in pain, and all these, you know, blisters are popping up, and he's going, "Ah!" And he just keeps screaming for like what, 15 minutes? It seemed like it just went on and on. And here's the doctor and the camp director, the guy with the cigar and the golf pants. And the other guy with the red Hooters shorts, and they're all standing there and they're like, "Do you think it burned his eyes out, Doc?" And the doc's like, "I can't really tell."
Well, don't tell anybody this happened. We'll cover this up. You know, don't say anything about this. And then he's like, "Well, I'll get you some extra money, kitchen staff, if you don't mention this." You're like, "Oh, that sounds good to me."
And as they're pushing the gurney away, he's still screaming. He's wrapped up, still screaming. And they're pushing the gurney. Oh, man. Just funny.
So the review for the DVD itself will be the next video. But as for the movie, oh my God, this is the very, very definition of cult classic. This is why I love old, cheesy B-film horror movies. Sleepaway Camp is it. I mean, I think this is probably the top of one of those. And so what I'm trying to say...
You gave it a what?
The bomb!
My mustache came off. I gotta fix my mustache. You gave it the bomb?
We're not reviewing the movie, but the experience of watching the movie, Vince.
Okay, yeah, you can have a really good time watching this film. I will say that. It's that bad that you can't help but have fun watching it. But for the movie itself, no. This is like 1.
Oh my God, Vince.
You're in for a real treat as far as it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun experience. If you're actually looking toward it being a good horror film, you're going to be grossly disappointed.
I disagree. I think it's a great movie.
What the hell is this? Young bald chickens. Turn the wheel!